Well, student-centered learning represents a shift in the way schools operate. Traditional schools, actually, although they state they are for students, are actually adult-centered. Student-centered learning creates a shift in attitude and pedagogy from an emphasis on the adults, on the teaching, to an emphasis on the students or the learning. Our community told us when we organized to review our mission statement, rewrite our mission statement several years ago, that they wanted personalized education, hands-on education here in Pittsfield. And I think student-centered learning is the response to that. For me, there are four critical elements which create a distinction between traditional learning, teaching and learning, and student-centered learning. First is that students are active agents. Students are deeply involved. They're not just sitting in their desks absorbing knowledge, expecting to give it back at the end of the unit or the end of the week for a test. The second area is that students are highly aware of what they're doing and why they're doing it. You may have had the experience in high school or college where you had to learn something very abstract and didn't know why you were learning it or why you had to put up with that subject. We think that students ought to know at all times what they're doing and why they're doing it, so it has a practical application.
What was appealing to me was just that kind of general, very broad base of different things that you could possibly do. I chose a religious project. That's something that interests me and something that generally you wouldn't see in the classroom as going in depth to that, so I thought that that was a very interesting thing. We worked with my highly qualified teacher, Mr. Strickhart, and also Ms. Hepler to kind of fit my specific ELO into English and social studies credits. And so by making a list of competencies, we were able to narrow it down to fit those two categories.
A third area that's different is that students in student-centered learning schools are involved in interactions. We know that learning at its best is a social experience rather than a solitary experience. And we believe that students who are involved in interactions have the benefit of a collective knowledge and have the benefit of thinking through, testing ideas, and deepening their understandings.
Extended learning opportunities are something for the students to expand on what they know outside of the classroom. They're not stuck into a 55-minute class. They are able to study what they want to learn at their own pace, putting as much time into it as they feel is necessary. And a lot of these kids with the ELOs, they put a lot more emphasis on the ELOs than the classes themselves because they're so much more interested in them.
And the fourth area is the transfer of skills. Many times in our own traditional educational experiences, we've learned information for a test, and that's the end of it. We don't have the luxury of that sort of education anymore, that students ought to and need to be learning things that have application outside the immediate area, whether it's in another class or in the community or in the workplace beyond. So student-centered learning represents a significant shift in the way schools operate, and a significant shift in the way adults and students interact within the institution.
Well, the Extended Learning Opportunity is a program where students are given an opportunity to have a hands-on experience with an area of their interest. So in my case, I'm working with PYW and the Drug and Alcohol Coalition to make a film, and we're going to be approaching professional boards and different companies and things with this that will allow us to sort of reach for higher goals than one would usually get in just a normal high school environment. And a lot of times, a lot of students don't have an opportunity in high school to work in an area that gears specifically towards their individual interests, and this gives a really great opportunity for students to do that.
Well, the Site Council is a new decision-making body for our school. It's made up of 19 voting members, 10 students represented from each one of our 6th grade levels, 6 faculty members, and 3 community members. The Coordinator of Student Services and myself are also part of the Site Council, but we're non-voting members. And the Site Council has the authority to make decisions on all items related to the school other than those things that are covered by school board policy or state and federal law.
Pittsfield Listens is a group of community members and students and graduates that get together and they talk about things that could improve the school and the community. At first I was involved with the student group, and we got together and we talked about our experiences at school, and then I got into a group of more parents and community members, and we were much more in depth, and we talked about what we could do to improve the school.
Was set up when we decided to bring in the lead community partner of the PYW, the Pittsfield Youth Workshop. It was an attempt to be more proactive in getting the voice out in the community that may not be heard, and to get people involved that may not be involved from time to time.
Pittsfield Listens was a project we started this summer in collaboration with the Pittsfield School District, Pittsfield Youth Workshop, and the Nellie May Education Foundation. We worked with the Carsey Institute and Hampshire Listens from UNH to involve community members who aren't necessarily involved in the decision-making process for the school district, trying to get as many people involved as possible. The basis of the conversations were, how can we improve Pittsfield, how can we improve education, and the information we received will go into to help the school district to improve education.
For us with the Pittsfield Drug and Alcohol Coalition, to be able to engage with a student is really on the top of our priority list. We work a lot with adults in the community, but for the type of work we do, we really like to work with youth. So having Tim to be able to come in to work directly with us gives us not only his perspective as someone in the community, but also a perspective as a student. And so being able to work with him and have his eyes on this project really gives us an advantage as to what is going to be appealing to students, appealing to youth in the community, and really what they're looking for as far as services from us. There are a lot of opportunities to gain kind of those academic skills, but really some of that real world stuff. Knowing that there is an accountability with working with a community partner. You have to be where you say you're going to be. You have to do what you say you're going to do. You have to be responsible. And so being able to kind of bridge the gap between school and real life, ELOs are a great way to do that. And it's really a safe environment to test those waters as well.
Well, the Site Council is a student majority governing body in the school that that was set in place to help make recommendations for school policies and different changes for our school.
Yeah, I think overall the Site Council's role is to make a positive impact on the student body. So any school policies that we feel we can make an adjustment to or develop to influence school policy for the positive is our main role.
Advisory is where kids are grouped together by grade level with a certain advisor, and they get to sort of form a group together where they get to bond, do certain activities together. They will also do career cruising and other things to get them ready to graduate and move on with life.
It's been a godsend for my son. If it wasn't for Brennan's advisor, I don't think he'd become a sophomore this year. She's helped with different projects that either I needed to help him home with, or she worked with him at school. So if it wasn't his advisor, he wouldn't have passed.
I think, at least in my advisory, everybody does it in a different way, but in my advisory, we really focus on the academics and keeping people organized so they can do well academically, but also plan long-term goals, short-term goals. So the short-term goals may be passing the classes for the year, but the long-term goal may be that they want to get into a certain college with a specific major, so we plan that course load accordingly.
The Carsey Institute at UNH is our major social science research and policy center. Part of the Carsey Institute includes New Hampshire Listens, which is our civic engagement arm of the Carsey Institute. New Hampshire Listens is a statewide project that tries to build capacity within communities so residents can come together and have face-to-face dialogue around difficult issues. One of the goals of New Hampshire Listens is to help communities all over the state develop their own local capacity for that kind of face-to-face citizen dialogue. So Pittsfield Listens, which has grown out of this great school reform project that's been supported by Nellie May, is actually one of our earliest and, to date, most successful efforts to develop that local capacity.
We think that our students will leave Pittsfield Middle High School being very proud to have been a student here, having known that they will have had direct responsibility, that they have charted their own course here, and that they leave us with a concrete plan that will take them to the next level, the next stage in their lives. We think our community will be very proud of our work, but we think that our students will leave us and let us know that the school has done everything we can to help personalize education for them that's gotten them ready for the next level in their lives. We received a one-year planning grant that has allowed us to engage our community in a process with expert technical assistance to develop a 6-year plan for our Pittsfield Middle High School. And we are hoping that we are the recipients of a long-term grant, a 6-year grant from the Nellie May Foundation. We'll find out about that in December after our materials are submitted. We intend to go forward with this plan. We recognize that without the long-term support of the Nellie May Foundation, the chances of us achieving our high goals, our lofty intents, will take much, much longer. And so although the process has been very important, we believe it's just as important to continue this process and continue to find the support of external sources other than Pittsfield taxpayers to help us make this change for our students.